What is DAO and how is it linked to crypto? Let's start with the basics. DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. Don't get confused. We'll talk about Decentralized Autonomous Organization. I mean, three of these words. So it's an organization run by code agreed upon the community which started it. Let's begin with D, which is decentralized. This means there is no bureaucracy or hierarchy. Second is A. It is absolutely autonomous because the rules of the community are embedded into the code. No managers are needed. Decisions are automated. Third is the O. It's an organization, which means members with same interest, motive, or passion have come together. But there are so many communities which are run by members, right? So how is this different? How is DAO different? Well, a DAO's transactions and rules are recorded on a blockchain. It gets extremely helpful in financial transactions. DAOs come together, launch Kickstarter initiatives with the help of cryptocurrencies that fund the project or even allow stakeholders to make important decisions. The entire mechanism eliminates any human error. And that brings us to talk about the advantages. And this is one of the advantages here. So number one is completely visible framework. Number two, there is no single person who is in charge of the community. Any DAO member can view any financial aspect of the firm without difficulty, making it publicly auditable. Now, changes to the code or protocol must be voted on in a transparent manner. Then DeFi, NFT, and other uses can all be built into the system. But there is one huge criticism for DAOs, which is the security vulnerabilities. And we'll also talk about this with our guests as well. With us, Ajit Tripathi, Head of Institutional Business, Aave. Aave is an open source and non-custodial protocol to earn interest on deposits and borrow assets. Amit Jain, co-founder Altius DAO. Altius DAO is a DAO for sports lover. A very warm welcome to both of you. Mr. Tripathi, to you first, as we were talking about criticism that usually DAOs face. One is, one of those is security vulnerabilities. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. In fact, some of the DAOs are very, insecure in the sense that, the most basic form of a DAO is a chat channel with a shared crypto wallet, right? Like a multi-sig wallet, which we call a Gnosis safe. So anything can be a DAO these days. So if you're trusting a bunch of other people with the ability to move money, then there is, and you don't even know who they are sometimes on the internet, then there is always going to be a security issue. So some DAOs are very well behaved, in terms of, for example, the Aave DAOs are actually very, very well known, well understood. There are lots of people looking at how who controls the keys, and there is, what the software looks like. Whereas some of the new DAOs just prop up and no one really, studies them or understands what the security issues are. So it's important to not treat all the DAOs the same way and really, see where and make sure, the code is audited. And there are some people looking at the actual multi-sig structure.
Which are few use cases you can point out for us?
Yeah, so DAOs are everywhere these days, So I think the most common use case is obviously protocol DAOs like Aave, Uniswap, Maker, and so on, where, people vote on code changes and risk parameter changes for DeFi protocols. Then the second most common use case is where people just pool money to buy something, right? Buy a stadium, buy a cricket team, buy a painting, buy some NFTs and invest. So investment DAOs are the second most common. The third are more social DAOs like, Friends with Benefits, Temple DAO, where people are on the internet. See, the key thing is with DAOs is that it's allowing people on the internet who can't normally, see each other or ever meet each other to coordinate on something. And
sure.
That something is usually buying something. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Jain, to you now. How can one make their own DAO?
Yeah. So all you need to make a DAO is a mission. Your mission should be path-breaking and should be involving because it's all about community. So involvement is important. So some mission by which you can attract a community. So second thing is community. So a relevant performing community because all are stakeholders. By its own nature, a DAO is actually inclusive in nature. So all these stakeholders are should be responsible for taking the vision ahead. So choosing your community, making your community is important. And the most important thing is obviously framework. Framework means governance rule, token economics, because this is the only thing which motivates people in long term. DAO is not a different entity. It's works like a normal organization in a decentralized way. So you need a framework also.
Sure. Other than the examples Mr. Tripathi pointed, if you can also give us some use cases of DAOs, other than yours as well.
Yeah. So as for me, it's very early stage. So there are use cases. Obviously, there are use cases, but DAO can be done for anything which is right now happening. Whatever can be done in decentralized way can happen in DAO. So right now, yeah, as he said, that a lot of applications are going on, like buying a golf course, building community, some social DAOs are there. So we are building a sports DAO, an Altius DAO, which is decentralizing the entire sports ecosystem. It's just not just a fan-based community. One more application which is coming up is gaming DAO. So we are seeing a lot of gaming DAOs in which card holders are member of a DAO, and these cards are acting like a token and accumulating value based on the popularity of
Sure. As Mr. Tripathi also said, almost everything in crypto world these days is DAO, and a lot of people say that Bitcoin was probably the first DAO as well. In the end, Mr. Tripathi, how is the marriage between DAO and metaverse really working out?
Yeah. So again, you have, when you can't understand one buzzword, you should use two. So I think the thing about DAOs is you can coordinate on the internet with strangers, right? And that coordination involves money. That's the bottom line. And then sometimes things are less decentralized. Sometimes they are autonomous. Sometimes they are organized. But you often don't find all three in the same place. So in a metaverse, you can do really, really cool things like Amit described. I'm part of a gaming DAO called India Gaming Guild, and so it's allowing a lot of young people to create new and interesting crypto games, and they will essentially start buying applications for the metaverse. And metaverses are virtual worlds where we can do real world things, right? Like buying and selling, meeting people, dating, shopping. I mean, going to college, meditating. You could do just about anything in the virtual world. I mean, ultimately, Zoom is the most simple metaverse, right? Zoom with an avatar. So DAOs and metaverse go really well together, because ultimately what you're doing is you're doing cool and interesting things with strangers on the internet, things that actually involve money and coordination. So it's a really, really interesting idea, and you don't have to do it within your hometown. You don't have to do it within Bangalore, even within the same country. Okay. You don't have to start a country club in the neighborhood. You can do it on the internet with people from all over the world, and that's pretty cool. When you think about it.
Sure. Thank you so very much, both of you, for talking to us.